Have you ever noticed that some people seem to attract everything they want, almost like their reality bends around their desires, while others struggle no matter how hard they try? The difference isn't luck, and it's not magic. It comes down to a handful of powerful manifestation techniques that, when practiced correctly, can flip your reality in ways that feel almost unbelievable. And the best part, anyone can use them starting tonight. Today, you're about to learn the techniques powerful creators swear by and why they work far better than the usual advice you've already heard. Let's break down 6 powerful techniques that actually work. First technique is the power of clarity. Here's the real reason most people struggle with manifestation. They're too vague. They'll say, "I just want more money," or "I want to be happier." But your subconscious mind doesn't understand fuzzy statements like that. It needs specifics, almost like entering coordinates into a GPS. Think of it this way. If you walked into a restaurant and told the waiter, "Bring me food," you'd have no idea what you're going to get. But if you confidently order the exact meal you want, chances are you'll get it quickly. Manifestation works the exact same way. Vague goals create vague results. Clear goals, though, they send a razor-sharp signal to your subconscious mind. That's why world-class athletes don't just imagine winning. They replay every detail in their minds. The sound of the crowd, the weight of the medal, even the way their bodies feel crossing the finish line. CEOs and entrepreneurs do it too. Before launching major projects, they spend time picturing not just the idea, but the success of it, down to shaking hands in the boardroom or seeing their product on a store shelf. Here's the catch though, most people dream with blurry outlines, and when your mind sees a blurry picture, it doesn't know where to aim. Imagine trying to play darts blindfolded. Sure, you might hit the board eventually, but it'll take a lot longer and you'll waste a lot more effort. So if you want manifestation to actually work, the first step is ruthless clarity. Instead of saying, "I want a better job," write out the exact role, the salary you'd love, even the city you want to live in. Instead of "I want love," visualize the traits of the person, how they make you feel, even little moments like laughing together over coffee. Because here's the shocking truth. Your mind needs details to build the reality. The clearer the blueprint, the faster it starts constructing. But clarity alone isn't the full picture. Once you know what you want, another ingredient makes everything come alive, and without it, your vision stays flat on the page. Second technique is emotional alignment. Emotions aren't background noise. They're the ignition that turns a clear intention into movement, and the brain responds to felt experiences as if they're already happening when imagery is vivid and multisensory. When athletes mentally rehearse with full sensory detail, brain regions overlap with real execution, strengthening neural pathways and improving performance without physical reps, a principle shown from Olympic training contexts to surgical skill labs using neuroimaging and fNIRS measures. That's why just thinking about a goal isn't enough. Feeling it, breath, posture, heartbeat, confidence tells the nervous system this is real, which starts biasing choices and behaviors toward the outcome automatically. Here's the twist most people miss. The quality of emotion matters as much as intensity, because static, unfocused imagery can elevate stress, while dynamic, controllable imagery boosts self-efficacy and emotional regulation, translating into better performance and steadier follow-through. Studies show that when imagery emphasizes controllable, dynamic scenes, confidence mediates the effect and anxiety drops. When imagery fixates on uncontrollable factors, stress rises and performance suffers. So emotional alignment isn't hype. It's a trainable skill that calibrates arousal, focus, and confidence toward the goal state, rather than accidentally rehearsing fear. Think of emotional alignment as programming how it feels to live there before arriving. Visualize the scene, then layer the emotion, calm certainty at the meeting, the quiet relief after the deposit lands, the grounded pride during the workout, with sensory cues that match the moment. Neuroscience calls this functional equivalence. Mental rehearsal recruits many of the same networks as doing the thing, leading to more efficient activation in motor areas and reduced prefrontal overthinking, which is why execution feels smoother after high-quality imagery practice. In short, emotions give direction traction. They turn pictures into posture, posture into action, and action into results that look lucky from the outside. Try this micro-practice. For 60 seconds, replay the desired scene as if it's already done, but make it dynamic. What the room smells like, how shoulders settle, the rhythm of breathing, the exact words spoken, and let the emotion crest to a 6 or 7 out of 10, not a 10, to avoid tipping into strain. If worry spikes, switch to a controllable slice of the scene, signing the document, pressing send, finishing the last rep, so the brain pairs the goal with agency rather than doubt, which lowers stress and sustains belief over time. And as the last beat of the practice, anchor one physical cue, a slow exhale, a fingertip press that can instantly recall the state later when it counts, leveraging the link between bodily signals and decision bias described in effective neuroscience. But belief still needs proof, and the fastest proof is seeing life mirror what's written. This is where a simple writing technique turns feeling into a blueprint that the mind starts building from automatically. Third technique is the scripting method. This technique dives into the most practical, do-it-tonight method, scripting, writing the desired reality in the present tense, so the brain starts treating it like a plan, not a wish. The power here isn't mystical. Writing clarifies goals, lowers mental noise and strengthens follow-through, echoing decades of research on expressive writing's benefits for emotion regulation and health, which indirectly supports consistent action toward goals. Layering scripting with if-then plans turns a vivid vision into automatic behavior, with implementation intentions shown across 90+ studies to meaningfully boost goal attainment by linking cues to actions. Start by framing the scene as already true. I wake up in my new place, sunlight on the wall, coffee brewing as the email with the offer sits in my inbox, because present tense narrative recruits emotion and attention more strongly than future tense lists. Then lock in 3 concrete cues that translate the page into motion. If it's 7:30 a.m., then I open my portfolio. If it's lunch, then I message one new contact. If it's 8 p.m., then I script tomorrow's first task, leveraging the cue behavior link that raises completion rates, especially for harder goals. This is where scripting stops being pretty words and starts becoming a map that the nervous system follows without constant willpower. Keep entries short, sensory, and specific. 1 page max, so the brain doesn't drown in fluff. Focus on what's controllable, like how the room feels during the call, the steady tone in the voice, the calm after pressing send, which tightens the belief-action loop. Add a 1-line self-affirmation at the end. I handle opportunities with calm clarity to buffer stress and preserve flexible problem-solving under pressure, a benefit repeatedly shown in self-affirmation research with measurable performance gains when stakes are high. Over time, the compounding effect is striking. Clear scripts, flung cue-based plans, more initiated actions, fewer stalls, and visible evidence that builds belief, which keeps the cycle moving without forcing hype or strain. Try this 5-minute nightly flow. Write 6-8 sentences in present tense about the life already lived. Include 3 sensory details, close with 1 strength-based line, and finish by setting 2-3 if-then cues for tomorrow, a compact protocol that blends imagination with execution. Every week, reread older entries and highlight hits where life matched the page. This quick audit boosts motivation and clarifies patterns, making the next scripts even tighter and more aligned with what actually moves results. And as soon as evidence shows up, even in small ways, mark it in the journal. Nothing trains the brain to expect wins like seeing proof in black and white. Fourth technique is the mirror technique. There's a reason speaking to a reflection hits harder than whispering in a notebook. The mind pays attention when eyes and voice line up, and that combo cuts through the usual mental static. Standing face to face with a reflection forces presence. There's nowhere else to look, no tab to switch to, no escape from the script being spoken with conviction. When the image in the glass hears the words from the mouth, the message doesn't just pass through the head, it lands in the body with a steadying weight that feels undeniable. The setup is simple, but the details matter. Pick 1 short identity statement and 1 outcome statement, keeping both grounded and specific, like I am the kind of person who finishes what I start, and opportunities find me because I show up ready. Keep the shoulders relaxed, chin level, and breathe from the belly so the voice has depth without strain. The goal isn't to shout promises, it's to sound like someone who means every word, because belief is contagious when it's carried in the tone and posture. Done right, this becomes less about hyping up and more about remembering what's already true. Now for the moment that makes mirror work feel different from standard affirmations: eye contact. Hold the gaze for a slow count of 3 before each line, then speak as if explaining a simple fact that needs no debate. If doubt pops up, because it will, don't fight it. Acknowledge it silently and let the statement be the louder signal. End each line with a small, almost imperceptible nod. That tiny physical agreement seals the sentence like a signature. No drama, just closure. Over time, that cadence, pause, speak, nod becomes a ritual cue that steadies nerves before big moments. Keep the language clean and current. Trade vague phrases like I am successful for something that can be felt in real life. I handle pressure with calm. I notice solutions fast. I move the needle every day. These are qualities that show up in posture, decisions and timing, and that's exactly what starts to shift when the mirror becomes a daily checkpoint. If an old script tries to run second-guessing, minimizing, delaying, counter it with one precise line that disarms it. That's the old story. Today's story is discipline over doubt. Short, sharp, done. A powerful upgrade is pairing mirror lines with micro-visuals. After each statement, picture a 2-second clip of living that trait, sending the email without rereading it 5 times, taking the call with relaxed shoulders, finishing the last rep even when it burns. Keep each clip tiny and repeatable. The brain learns fast from bite-sized wins it can replay, and these micro-visuals make the words feel like instructions the body can follow immediately. The aim is to make identity and behavior indistinguishable in the moments that count. To keep it from feeling awkward or forced, cap the session at 2 minutes. Pick 2 identity lines and 1 outcome line. Speak each 3 times with full attention, then stop. Ending early builds appetite and prevents the practice from turning into noise. Track a subtle signal afterward, breath rate, jaw tension, how quickly a decision gets made, to notice what's shifting. Small body tells are the earliest proof that the words are working, and spotting them keeps motivation high without leaning on hype. For days that feel heavy, use a bridge phrase to avoid fakery. I'm open to becoming the person who, or I'm learning too. This keeps the truth intact while still pushing identity in the right direction. As proof accumulates, finish tasks, cleaner boundaries, quicker recovery, drop the bridge and own the line fully. The transition from learning to I am is a milestone worth marking. It's the point where the mirror isn't a pep talk anymore, it's a status update. And to tie it all back to the larger process, mirror work locks the identity that scripting described and emotional alignment energized. The next step removes the pressure that chokes results, the quiet skill of wanting fully while holding loosely. But that wasn't the whole story. 5th technique is letting go of resistance. Here's the paradox no one warns about. The harder the grip on an outcome, the more it slips. Attachment feels like focus, but it sneaks in tension, checking, chasing, second-guessing, that tells the nervous system something's missing. That state broadcasts lack, not arrival, and the mind starts scanning for proof things aren't working. Want fully, but hold loosely. That balance, clear aim without clutching, is where results move fastest. Think of desire like flying a kite. Pull too hard and the string snaps. Let it go entirely and it drops. The sweet spot is steady hands with enough slack for the wind to do its job. In real life, that looks like showing up with strong effort and then switching off the where is it loop. Detachment isn't apathy. It's confidence that the seeds are planted and constant digging won't make them grow quicker. The calm that follows isn't passivity. It's power without friction. So what does letting go actually look like day to day? Start with a clean split between action time and receive time. During action time, move with precision. Send the message, make the call, ship the draft. Once that window closes, stop the chase. No refreshing, no mental rehearsals of worst-case scenarios. Fill the rest with activities that stabilize the system. Movement, sunlight, deep breathing, a focused hobby. The message is simple. The work is done. The result is inbound. Use a done for today ritual to make it concrete. End the work block by writing 3 check marks next to what's complete. Then say one line out loud, I've handed this off. Follow it with 1 minute of slow exhales, in for 4, out for 6, to drop the body out of pursuit mode. If the mind tries to reopen the loop, park the thought in a tiny notebook labeled tomorrow's moves. That container is a pressure release valve. The brain relaxes when it knows the plan isn't lost. Here's a subtle trap. Attachment often hides as productivity. Extra emails, extra tweaks, extra late-night rewrites can feel like commitment, but are really anxiety in disguise. Trade that for standards, not strain. Set a clear definition of good enough before starting, hit it, and stop. Finishing at the standard repeatedly builds a reputation for others and the subconscious that outcomes arrive without frantic energy. That reputation, more than any mantra, is what quiets the noise. If tension spikes, run a 90-second release drill. Sit tall, unclench the jaw, drop the shoulders. Say, I allow the timeline to be bigger than my plan. Then scan from forehead to feet and loosen anything gripping. Picture the result set on a conveyor belt moving toward you, whether you stare at it or not. The point isn't fantasy, it's compliance. The body starts obeying the message, effort on, then effort off. That rhythm lets opportunities surface without being strangled. Detachment also means tolerating uncertainty without story building. When nothing seems to be happening, most people fill the silence with conclusions. It's not working. I messed up. It's too late. Swap those with neutral holds. Processing, data incoming, hold position. Neutral language keeps decisions clean and prevents panic pivots that break momentum. Progress rarely looks like fireworks from the inside. It looks like showing up at the same time with a steadier pulse. One more lever. Gratitude for micro-evidence, not generic lists, evidence. The quicker reply, the new follower, the unexpected introduction, the smoother rep at the gym. Mark them as signals at the end of each day. Signals prove movement and starve the urge to force results. They also train attention to notice doors cracking open that attachment would have missed while staring at one locked gate. Letting go isn't losing interest. It's refusing to leak energy into what can't be controlled. Clarity chooses the target, emotion fuels the drive, scripting sets the map, mirror work locks identity, detachment clears the air so the signal isn't jammed. And once the grip is released, one simple ritual can anchor the shift in a way that feels almost uncanny, turning intention into something the body can taste and trust. Sixth technique is the 2-cup shift. Rituals work because they give the mind something to touch. The 2-cup shift turns a wish into a moment the body can feel. A tiny ceremony that says, I'm done living there, I'm moving here. It's simple, fast, and surprisingly grounding. The power isn't in the water, it's in the way the brain responds when a decision is enacted with the hands, eyes, and breath. Start by labeling 2 cups. On the first, write the current state in plain words. Uncertain income, inconsistent discipline, stuck in outreach. On the second, write the desired reality like it already exists. Predictable cash flow, daily discipline locked, opportunities find me. Keep it short and specific so the labels feel like snapshots, not essays. Then fill the first cup with water and hold it with both hands. Take 10 slow breaths while reading that label once, just to acknowledge it without judgment. No drama, just a status check. Now comes the pivot. As the water gets poured into the second cup, imagine the transfer as a cutover, like moving a file from one folder to another. Keep the pour slow and steady. While it flows, focus on one quality that defines the new state. Calm certainty during payments, steady focus in the morning, confident voice on calls. This is the moment that matters. When the water finishes, say one quiet line that seals the move. This is my normal. Then drink it without hesitation. The action finalizes the choice. To make the shift more visceral, layer it with a consistent sensory cue, a specific song, a drop of citrus scent on the wrist, a ring or bracelet touched during the pour, anything repeatable that tells the nervous system we're entering the new lane. The brain bonds to patterns fast. Pairing a cue with the ritual turns it into a switch that can be flipped later before a meeting, a workout, or a negotiation to recall the same state in seconds. Keep the ritual clean by choosing one area at a time. If money is the current frontier, run the 2-cup shift for that and let everything else ride for a week. Scattering attention across 5 topics weakens the signal. 1 shift, 7 days, daily repetition. Each night relabel if needed to sharpen the message as clarity grows. Watch for micro-evidence in the next 24-48 hours. Responses that arrive quicker, a smoother morning block, a new intro. Note them as signals, not victories, to avoid pressure. Signals say the dial is turning. For a stronger lock, add a brief bridge action right after the sip. One tiny behavior that matches the new label. If the cup says predictable cash flow, schedule the week's invoice times in 60 seconds. If it says daily discipline locked, set tomorrow's first 30-minute focus block on the calendar. The key is to move something in the real world while the body is still in the shifted state. That bridge is where momentum starts to compound. If disbelief creeps in, don't fight it. Acknowledge it and adjust the desired label one notch toward believable. Predictable cash flow can become cash flow stabilizing this quarter. Let reality have a runway. The ritual isn't about pretending, it's about committing to direction. As proof builds, tighten the wording again. Over time, the labels evolve from hope to habit to identity, and that's when the ritual becomes less about changing and more about maintaining. Timing helps. Run the 2-cup shift at the same moment each day, right after the last email, before brushing teeth, or as the first thing after waking. Consistency trains the mind to expect the transition and reduces the risk of skipping when schedules get messy. 2 minutes, no improvisation. Pour, speak, drink, bridge action, done. The restraint is the magic. It keeps the experience crisp instead of turning it into another to-do. This method works best after clarity, emotion, scripting, and identity have softened the ground. Think of it as the anchor, something tactile that locks the inner world to a tiny outer move. And once that anchor is set, The close becomes simple. Tie everything together in a way that challenges assumptions and leaves a question hanging, one that lingers long after the video ends. Clarity gave the mind a target. Emotion supplied the charge. Scripting turned vision into a map. Mirror work locked identity. Detachment cleared the noise, and the two-cup shift anchored it all in the real world. Manifestation isn't wishful thinking. It's a system for training attention, emotion, and action to point in the same direction until reality has to keep up. What happens when those pieces click? Decisions get cleaner. Opportunities feel closer. The day stops dragging, and momentum starts compounding. Not because of luck, but because the inner story finally matches the outer moves. Here's the challenge. Pick one technique and run it tonight, not tomorrow. Try the 2-minute mirror ritual with one identity line, or do a 5-minute scripting page in the present tense, or run the 2-cup shift with a single specific label and one tiny bridge action. Keep it light, keep it consistent, and watch for signals over the next 48 hours. Faster replies, calmer focus, a door cracking open. If this resonated, drop a comment with the technique chosen and the first signal noticed. Then share this with one person who's ready to stop forcing outcomes and start guiding them. Make sure to subscribe the channel. Want a printable checklist of all 6 steps and a 7-day routine? Say checklist below and it'll be sent next.